Hello and welcome everyone to our speaker chat for our 17th annual Canadian Holistic Nutrition Conference. We are very excited. The topic this year is holistic nutrition, exploring the spectrum of wellness. We have
Mm.
two dates this year. We're in Calgary, Saturday, April 12th, and Toronto, May 10th. I'm Joanna Brown, your social media manager coordinator, and we are very excited to be with one of our Toronto speakers today. Joining us, thank you, Todd Caldecott, for taking some time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, now today, well, we're going to chat a little bit about your presentation.
Mhm.
Your topic is on untangling the mind, a
hmm
holistic approach to dementia. Can you tell
hmm
us a little about why you're passionate about? Why is that your topic?
Well, it's a condition that's certainly increasing in prevalence with the net aging population. I think that is a feature of just of modern life. People are living longer and they're living with much more of a chronic disease burden.
Mhm.
And of course, dementia, cognitive decline is associated with a number of other different pathologies, cardiometabolic disorders, and we know that those continue to increase in prevalence. And so it's something for us to be aware of, in particular because it really affects quality of life issues, not just for the person experiencing it, but the people who are providing care. And I have some personal experience in that regard. Of course, my grandparents, if they reach the age of, and I'm kind of lucky in that regard, my grandparents that lived into the late 90s, early 100s, and so there was some degree of cognitive decline. But my stepfather suffered from like an advanced Parkinson's dementia, and I guess that there's that saying, you can't be a prophet in your own village, and so I certainly provided some advice at the onset of that diagnosis, didn't really take the advice. And so I got to see firsthand what happened to his brain just being on those Parkinson's meds for a decade. And then just that fairly significant and rapid decline into dementia. And it was really difficult. It was really difficult on a personal level to manage that and just all of the problems that arise because of it. So it's affected me personally. I see it in my own practice. It's something that I think as a society we're all going to have to contend with because, as I said, we have this net aging population. So it's really important. And what more defines us than our own individual consciousness, our brain function? It's so important to our identity and who we are. It's something that we really need to be aware of. And the tricky thing is that when you start seeing those signs of cognitive decline kicking in, it's almost kind of a little bit too late to start treating it. So there's so much that we can do now. I mean, I'm 56 years old, so I'm certainly doing everything I can do. It's just part of being healthy to maintain optimal cognitive function.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does impact and touch so many people personally, right? Whether it's dementia
Hmm.
or Alzheimer's, yes, my mom and my grandmother both had
Oh,
Alzheimer's.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, as a caregiver, it's hard to go through that. So
It's so
what we
hard.
can do in any way
Yes.
we can to hold on to what we got,
Yes.
for sure. So I'm going to expect from your presentation, we're going to learn some things that we can do, preventative, proactive. Yes.
Yeah. So, I
Okay.
mean, my background is both in traditional medicine, Ayurveda, Western herbal medicine, but I also have a fairly strong background in the science part and the medical part. So I'm going to be providing like a review of the epidemiology, of the pathology, looking at the etiology of dementia, and it's really about looking at all the different factors because there isn't just one cause that we can target. I think Western medicine tends to be very myopic and they're just looking at, say, a particular aspect of the pathology. They're looking for like the amyloid beta protein or they're looking for tau protein and the drugs are oriented towards addressing that. But we can see is that they're not really all that successful. And so there's so many different other attributes of dementia and etiologies that we need to consider, and many of which people don't even really think about. Like, for example, during COVID, the fact that many people were suffering from anosmia, which is this loss of smell and taste,
Mhm.
because the virus replicated primarily in the upper nasopharyngeal mucosa, which is adjacent to the olfactory region of the brain. And so we know that there was probably some inflammatory mediators, maybe even some of the virus itself that entered into the brain. And we see people with the anosmia, there's an additional concern that they might be developing or at higher risk of developing dementia. So even something like just COVID could relate to an increased dementia risk.
Wow.
And and just nasopharyngeal infections, like just having poor oral health, for example, could increase your susceptibility to dementia. So lots of different factors to consider.
Yeah, amazing. Now you're going to be speaking nationally to a whole bunch of nutrition practitioners,
Mm.
right? Well, foodies, all the rest. Will you
Mhm.
be providing maybe some tips around nutrition, things that we can use for
Oh,
ourselves, our loved ones, our clients? What are maybe some things we can expect that way?
absolutely. I'm going to be reviewing the nutritional factors in cognitive decline and dementia and things that we can do to prevent that, to help support the brain, to reverse or deal with chronic inflammation. So nutrition plays obviously a huge role. It's in my practice, I've been practicing for almost 30 years, and nutrition is always figured as the most prominent part of what it is that I do. I mean, it's like building a house. Nutrition is the foundation of that home. And I found, even though practiced and skilled in all these different, herbal therapies and other types of therapies, I know that without nutrition, they're really not going to be all that effective. So it's typically the first thing I try to work with any patient is to reorientate their awareness around diet and to do whatever we can to reduce those risk factors.
Amazing, amazing. Now, we love to ask all of our speakers, is there maybe a fun fact or a hidden talent about yourself that we don't know that you would share?
Let's see. God, there's probably lots of different things. A hidden talent of mine. Hmm. Um, well, I'm musically inclined. So many years ago, I studied Hindustani classical vocal. So I learned some different ragas and learned how to play tabla. And so that's maybe something that you might not know about me.
I'll have
Uh,
to Google that after.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I've
don't even know what
also And
that
probably more prominent is that I'm a former film and TV actor. So I did that right out of high school. Right out of high school, I got an agent and I started to do parts in Vancouver and other parts of the world. And I did pretty well with that, but I kind of got bored of it, right? Like most of the projects that I was being hired to do weren't anything that I was all that passionate about or interested in, like a lot of slasher picks and stuff like
is.
that,
Yeah,
nothing that was really, nothing all that inspiring, but it is something that, my capacity in terms of public speaking, in terms of engaging with the audience is certainly something I haven't lost.
yeah.
And I'm just glad I'm able to use those skills for something that's a little more worthwhile than just entertainment.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. We cannot wait to see your presentation. If you do not have your conference tickets yet, you've got to go and get them. CSNNalumni.org under the conference tab. Whether you attend in Calgary or Toronto, the good news is you will not miss this wonderful presentation because you will get all of the speaker recordings with that ticket to purchase. So if you're in Calgary, don't worry. You won't miss Todd's presentation. You can listen to the recording afterwards. Get your tickets. We can't wait to have you there. And again, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. We can't wait to see you in Toronto.
Great, thanks so much. Look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you all.